Now step up, friends, now let's be going. For here in the Midway a strange wind is blowing. Where the lights are brighter, the laughter is knowing. Friends, into this tent now of marvels we're going. Sing it loud! Ballyhoo, bally-high, sing it low and sing it high. A song for the ages, for you and for me, where the carnival mirror is calling.
Step up, friends, now, let's be going. For here in the Midway, a strange wind is blowing, where the lights are brighter.
Hey everybody, really excited to have everyone here. We are live here with the Midway Tabletop Aternium Road cast, a few folks, and we're just going to do a little secrets revealed today and talk about the episode that occurred on Tuesday this week and see where everyone was at. Welcome. I'm Marty Kaplan. I'm the producer of the Aternium Road and Midway Tabletop, and I'll be your host for today. We're going to take about an hour just to talk about lots of different things, all around the new experience that some of these players have had for role playing, and some of the experienced hands, and then of course our illustrious dungeon master and what he is doing about the plot, maybe giving some hints about the future. And then we'll also talk a little bit about what's going on today. It's Juneteenth. That is the celebration of the emancipation and the end of slavery in the United States. There's a lot of protests going on right now for Black Lives Matter. Midway Tabletop and Aternium Road supports that activity 100%. It's a human rights issue. Let's fix it. Thanks. So back to the fantasy world. Aternium Road. Let's talk. Let's introduce ourselves one more time and just go around the tabletop here. Marcus, tell us a little about yourself.
Hello, I am going to be your, as they said, illustrious dungeon master for Aternium Road. Marcus Flores here, longtime nerd, yacht rock devotee, and fan of Mr. Charles Nelson Riley. And I'm hoping that you enjoy this. This is us casual. This is us chit chatting behind the scenes stuff, as well as highlights that folks may have had. And if those highlights bring more ideas in my head, I get to note them down. So this is awesome fun. Also, if questions, if anybody is out there viewing, in chat has any questions, drum them up, and we'll see if we can answer them for you. But I'm trying not to give away all my secrets, because the biggest secret is I'm making up all of this as I go along.
Awesome, thank you. Let's move over to Lisa Hyde, our amazing shark dominatrix. Is that accurate?
Shark dominatrix, octopus stingray person, knight.
Isn't that a Cool Keith song or something?
I have never played with a paladin dominatrix before, and it just makes so much sense.
I thought so. Why a knight in the service of love and discipline?
Mm-hmm. Tell us a little about yourself.
My name's Lisa. I am a bartender at DNA Lounge. I am a performer, a dancer of many different mediums. I am a former reformed filmmaker, getting back into that again with COVID and lockdown. You know, we're all exploring new ways to be creative. This is my first experience with the gaming role-playing genre. I've admired it from afar, and About 2 years ago, had my first experience with computers in a way that made me feel that I could get into that world through the Unreal Garden, which was an AR experience. And since then, the my interests have leaned that way, which naturally seems to roll into gaming and LARPing, as the community backbone seems to come from that in their youth and still doing it today.
Yep.
And I'm really, really honored and grateful for the warm welcome that I'm receiving. Marcus and I have been friends and coworkers for a long time, and I think he might have had something to do with me being here. And I'm just freaking over the moon to get to play in this world that I've admired from afar, but didn't know I could get into. So,
Fantastic.
yay.
Thank you. All right, cool. Let's go over to Mark. How you doing, sir? You look like you're getting some work done back there in the workshop.
Yeah. I gotta fix this Carmen Gia. It's got a blown gasket. Yeah. So no, I do have a mechanical background. I used to work on VWs back in the day. It was sort of how I got myself through college. So there is an element of me, and I think an element of this character that's an extension of myself. Both characters in a way. So I'm exploring that. I'm really enjoying this, the potential here to not only just, I'm a gamer. I've always sort of been a gamer. I was president of the D&D club in junior high. I have the yearbook to prove it. And I'm a theater nerd, which is very common. And I've done, local acting here for a while, and I've done a little voiceover and some stand-up. And most of that stuff has been kind of just messing around, kind of playing around. And I'm excited to be working with, real performers here who, have a long experience of doing kind of interactive fiction and this experience that, it really collaborates with all of us together. And I just, it's a really talented group of people here. So,
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Of course, Marcus, I love playing in his games, and that's sort of how I got introduced into this whole mix. And I'm very honored and proud to be involved in all of this. And Marty, thank you very much for all the work you're doing too.
Oh, cheers, man. Thank you. I mean, we're all getting this together, and just doing something creative. Trying to make the best of this situation. See if we can support people. So let's. You'll see in the chat in a moment. We have a donation set up here, and I'll talk about that just after we talk to Scott Levkoff, who is a co-founder of the Mystic Midway with myself, and an incredibly accomplished actor, puppeteer, creator, tell us a little. And now he's playing a 3-foot nothing goblin. Is that kind of where?
3.5 feet tall.
3.5. Oh, sorry.
But his top hat is about 1.5 feet to kind of compensate.
Makes sense.
Because he has some issues, some size compensation issues.
Yes, and we did learn what is in a goblin's pants in that episode 1. So we're not going to talk about that here, although maybe later. But if you want to know what that is, go watch.
You ruined my reveal, Marty.
Oh.
I'm not
a producer.
Pants right now.
Oh.
Because Zoom. Come on, people. Just let it hang. Let it just breezy. Yeah. Easy breezy. Just kidding.
Yeah, no
now that's image. Now you have that image. Nobody wants that, Gotta breathe. You gotta breathe. Especially goblins. They have a.
Okay,
what are we doing?
Tell me a little bit more about your background and such, and your experience with role playing.
Yeah, I started gaming back in the '80s at Game-A-Lot in Santa Cruz with a lot of fun folks, and basically, like, role playing led to me becoming a professional improv character actor. And that was a career I've had for 35 years. And it also led to become an immersive event producer and designer, world builder. I mean, that all comes from my days of D&D, way back in Trolls and Gamma World, Champions, Empire of the Petal Throne, and of course, my favorite, Call of Cthulhu, being a big Lovecraft weird fiction fan. So but I'm really excited and proud to say that this is my first real D&D campaign with Marty and Marcus, and jumping back into the original inspiration that kind of launched my entire career. So yeah, good to be here. Hi, I'm a goblin. I'm small. I have issues.
Right. So yep, and as you can hear, there's various things going on in the background for all of us as this Juneteenth day goes on and the awesome, amazing protests happen. So there may be a little noise. Please forgive us. Okay, so let's move into the next set. So this is a piece of the Midway that's been around for a while, had a lot of iterations. This is the Mystic Midway story cards. Now these have been used a lot in a lot of different ways to help people sort of access the Midway, to do actual fortune telling for hundreds, if not thousands, of people by folks who play Lady Fortuna in the real world. And as you can see behind me, we have some guests. These are actual real characters who were in immersive productions that the Midway did, and no doubt we'll meet these dark harlequins in the game. But for now, one thing I want to do just is to draw one of these story cards and talk about it on the Secrets Revealed when we do it. So concentrate on your higher, lower, mid, terrible, mystical, magical, whimsical self, and we'll see which one we pull. Okay, here we go. I'm pulling it. I'm doing it. Here it is. And the Faerie Queen.
Oh, apropos.
Very. There's a lot of fairy influence in the Midway, you might say. Yeah. We've met fairies. We've been fairies. We've paid homage to fairies. Fairy tales. The Green Fairy has definitely helped us out a lot in certain times. And there was, of course, a legendary journey into nature that was taken by some early folks, where we probably met fairies. I don't remember much about that, but it was really fun. It was really good, and we were all very inspired. So, Faerie Queen, Marcus, why don't you give us a little bit of insight into how the Fae might be involved in the campaign?
Well, I think the Fae is going to be heavily involved. A lot of what we talked about in our session 0 for people was influenced, or is it going to be influenced in the Fae world, and the Faerie Queen and the various courts underneath her rulership, or her wise, whimsical eye. So I believe Jess has an influence there, and I think just in general, like some of the roots of our goblin blood and whatnot. I've always been, as a storyteller, that's always been my favorite. Oh, and antagonist is the Fey world. So I try to introduce them as much as possible, because they are fun and sinister and alien in their mind. And try not to eat or drink anything they give you, because it could be a long time before you come on back. So
yeah, Scott, what is the influence of Faerie Queen? Like, why is that part of the Midway?
Few elements here. Fairy literature figured very heavily in the inspiration for a lot of the Midway.
Mhm.
I've spent time with members and leaders of various fairy faith, which is a thing on the planet. There are multiple streams of fairy faith and fairy practice and fairy spirituality that actually exist. And it's an amazingly rich tradition that honors sort of an indigenous intelligence of Earth as they experience it directly, and intelligence and of peoples that were here before we were, in terms of us, in terms of humanity. So I've had a lot of really amazing experiences with them, and there's a lot of wisdom there. There's a lot to share, and also in this context, the Faerie Queen represents personal connection to kind of wild energies, animistic energies, nature, and then tuning into our own like really rich, vital connection to whatever kind of creation or spirituality or faith that we have. So she's all about like when that shows up, it's like, okay, let's not be afraid to talk about those things, to examine that. So yeah, we're blessed by the Faerie Queen in this setting. Thank you, Faerie Queen.
Yeah, it's good to keep her on your good side. You don't want to make her mad. Nope. Nope. Any comment on fairy or inspirations or even media or movies or books that Lisa you might be into, or Mark?
Yeah, for me, I think of in Labyrinth, playing goblins. We're essentially goblins, which are sort of the distorted, like kind of dark side of fairydom, the sort of dirty, earthy kind of grungy aspect. So I always see a kind of weird kind of connection between the two, almost like the skin of evil, which was an old Star Trek episode where the evil thing kind of left its evilness and then all this pure like sweetness left, and kind of, so playing a goblin or playing a hobgoblin, I think there will be a little bit of an opposition or pull away from the Faerie Queen's nature, and there'll be a kind of a tug and pull, I expect, in that relationship.
Yeah, I mean, there is the tradition of the Seelie and Unseelie courts,
yes,
which correspond to sort of nighttime and daytime in the fairy traditions. That brings to mind like the amazing Changeling, the old, well, it's not old,
RPG.
it is actually old.
Yeah.
But the RPG by White Wolf, Jonathan Tweet, and Mark Reinhagen, and that dynamic was a very interesting piece of how that game worked. You would play red caps, which are a tradition of sort of the mad, bloodthirsty types of folk that probably were Picts originally, and then got put into whatever zeitgeist occurred as those areas of the world were encountered, to the nobility, who can be both dark and light, or change over time. And of course in Shakespeare there's just a ton of use of fairy, and that was essentially the aliens of the Renaissance literature. So anything from outside that was supernatural and unknowable was grist for the mill for plots that Shakespeare put into play in his works, right?
Yeah.
Lisa, do you have any experience with kind of Shakespearean play, or have you ever been in anything like any productions like that?
Through dance, I've had experience with a fairy persona, which is a bit different than some element. It's a little different. The fairies, when it comes to dance, yet the same insofar as fairies are story, propels the story forward, usually giving the narrative a place of divergence and also a beginning of a conflict. In this, I'm really excited about learning more about the fairies as it applies to D&D in particular. And I feel that I've talked about this on our personal Discord production line, where play is something that has long been challenging to me personally. I tend to sort of muscle this thing we call life, and I also find that I've written a character for whom, or I'm developing a character for whom I could see that being a bit of a challenge for her too, that she's quite serious, a knight with an ethos and a charge, and with the serious aquatic backbone of these stalking predators. So to have her smooth and her focus and her serious intent messed with by powers far more whimsical than herself, I think this is going to be a lovely bit of tension. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, whoa.
So since there's no denying that I am one of the two very, very newbies on this one, explain it to me like I'm 5. What is the problem with 4 points and why do I care? Why do we care? Okay. Right. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
As Scott has in front of him, there is a story currency in this this world is unlike mining for gold. You have story currency, which is the currency of this world.
Thanks,
It is
Loki.
little bits of stories and or anything like little prose and poems and all that crafted into materials like that, which is odd, turning your art into money. But anyways, then there's the fact that the denominations go 1 through 6, and they the more valuable one being the 6. You can eat them to gain back a little bit of your story drain, which you will then experience a little bit of the stories that are contained within them. They are as potent as their denominations. So, if you eat a 6, you might get
Take you right back from the
revealed
brink of death.
You're right. Take back from the brink of death, but also you'll have an experience of the story that was within. The stories themselves are they're different genres. There's terrible stories. There's whimsical stories. I would like romantic stories, of course, and
Stories of
and
love.
others of that kind in there. So that's just one way to come back from the drain. Another way is, of course, to go out and adventure, go out and live stories and fill your storybook, your little story familiar that all of you got to meet in episode 1, and you fill those stories, and you revive yourself, you grow, you learn, and you experience. I think one of the things that Scott had brought up when we first met is that's the story is the value, and that's one of the things we try to put across in this tale is that the story is the value, the experience is the value, not necessarily the lucre, the filthy lucre.
Yeah, and this is why the Goblin Market sells not monetary things; they sell story things. And the story bucks, as we call them, which is what Scott had there. Those are kind of the instant, like he puts a potion, you grab it, you eat it, it like raises your exhaustion level out of being drained. The items are much more powerful. The trinkets that are sold, they're probably not cursed. Don't worry about that. But they have
Probably.
they have a continuing effect where they will add up over time and either prevent you from losing getting those exhaustion levels through story draining, or heal you up over time because you're wearing it. It could be a hat it's a very legendary storied hat. It could be a pin or a medal that was from a great military commander.
A rather dandy-like vest.
Or exactly, just the most stylish vest. And then, of course, there are other spells. So, of course, we have so many of Dungeons & Dragons is a lot about the different spells and supernatural abilities that different classes and people and monsters have. And those will all be manipulating these exhaustion levels and the story draining effects. So a terrifying monster could be, say, a double of one of the player characters who wants to be more real than they are and gives them exhaustion levels to drain their stories out and therefore become more real, more the true one that is the actual real person with that name. So we'll see a lot of that interesting gameplay and mechanics as the whole thing goes on, and we'll publish that as homebrew on D&D Beyond, so other people can go ahead and use those cool mechanics in their games, whether they want to go to the Aternium Road themselves or just drop them as challenges into their current campaigns. Alrighty. Okay, cool. So welcome. Thanks, Loki. We are getting to the point where we take some questions. So if any of our viewers want to drop in questions in the chat, we're happy to respond. We'd love to just go through and talk about people's projects as well. And I think we have a little bit of an announcement. So in terms of Midway Tabletop, working with a group that Marcus and some friends have been rolling with, I might say, for a while. We're going to talk about We Roll Deep and the Geek Out and all that, Marcus.
Yeah. So We Roll Deep is a project that another one of my best friends, Robert Straughter, and I drummed up first as a podcast and now soon to be a live stream. And that is, uh, it's not exclusively, but it's uh, all of us geeks who are people of color who love this hobby, love this pop culture, phenomenon, and from our perspective, and what we take away from it, what we bring to it, and what we love about it, and what we'd love to see changed about it as well. Um, so there's that called the We Roll Deep, and also Rob has a side group under We Roll Deep that is old friends of his who are most, I would think he said about almost 95% of them. There's maybe one or two in the group who have played games before. So the larger group has no idea, and they, because of our current predicament, got into it. He coaxed them, pulled them on into it, and now they're loving it. They were playing pre-generated characters in a superhero game, and then Rob brought to the table, hey, you can create your own characters, and everybody was like, oh, we'll do that a little bit, and they got into it, and the more that they got into it, and the more they started seeing the world build, and they were like, can we not stop doing this? Let's keep doing this.
That freedom, right? Yeah.
Yeah. So the freedom of it. So I'm really, really, really ecstatic and interested to see that their stream, which I believe should be coming soon, next week, I believe.
Yeah, we're gonna try and launch next week with a couple of things. On Mondays, we're gonna do a chat, a little bit like this one, but with Marcus and Robert and other guests of theirs, just talking about various grit and geeky things. I think the topics are going to be really interesting and fun. And then we're going to be showing their. They have quite a few pre-recorded, and then we'll start the live for superhero set of adventures that are really, really cool and interesting and funny.
Yeah.
And Robert is just an amazing game master as well, like storytellers, like just the talent for me is like just amazing. And so that's kind of like why hopefully Midway Tabletop will raise money for their group of folks as well, and we'll just start building up a nice set of stuff that you can tune into anytime you want or come in live on YouTube and Twitch, and we can show like all the best of what role playing is from all the different perspectives, like Dungeons and Dragons and fantasy, superheroes. I'm sure we'll be doing some horror stuff soon, and basically it's just going to be a lot of like super fun geeking out all over the place here on Midway Tabletop, which makes me super happy, and I hope it makes you happy too.
Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah. Cool. So what else? Scott or who wants to take the floor for projects? Anything going on right now for you, Mark?
Yeah, for me, I don't have anything public that I'm doing. Mostly working on remodeling a kitchen. So
that's a good project.
If anyone has advice on how to deal with plumbers and electricians, but outside of that,
charm spell.
Oh, that would work great.
Just do that.
But I'm really expanding my, creative edge. I want to sort of spend more of my time building projects like this. So this is just the step, and I'd love to roll deeper, as it were. Yeah.
That sounds great, man. Lisa, how about yourself?
Well, this is pretty exciting, and has started to slowly slowly start to find its way more and more into my creative time. Mostly I think I'm in the same boat as so many of us for whom everything doesn't open up professionally today or next week. psychologists warn against this, but I'm feeling really antsy to figure out what the hell now is. What is now? What is it?
Yeah.
It certainly isn't what it was 3 months ago, and I'm increasingly okay with that, but certainly antsy to make things. So I guess that's my project right now, is figuring out how one makes in this environment, in this new rules and regulations and restrictions that we have,
Yep.
and how to stay vibrant.
Yeah, it's
Past
definitely a
those
challenge.
and working with them. Yeah.
Absolutely.
So yeah, I'd love to report that I'm dancing somewhere, or that we've got a great gig at the club, but
Yeah.
this is not what we do now, and that's okay. La, she says, after having several months of drinking too much and smoking too much and staying up too late.
Well, it's been a lot of stress. It's been really crazy. I definitely feel like, unfortunately, people are. I mean, we just had the California order, like mask up wherever you go outside. Just do that, please. It's science. But the key thing is, like, I think we're starting to like figure out how to adapt. And humans kind of always do that. Really excited to hear that you've been inspired by just coming in and role playing for in this little project, and the introspection that it triggered, and we have a bunch of different sort of behind the scenes interviews and talks and stuff that we'll be revealing soon, as soon as we get an editor to help me out with that, but and maybe we'll do a Patreon or something like that. But I really was impressed with like how sort of vulnerable you were okay with being, even with all these different strangers, and like it's not an easy thing to like go live like this and talk about like how you're sort of feeling and whatever. So anyway, thank you for being here, I guess.
Well, thanks. It's one of as a choreographer and a maker of dances and other creations artistically, sculptor, painter, welder, all that kind of stuff. I'm used to not talking. I'm a dancer. You keep your damn mouth shut and you say things with your movement. And yet at the same time, talking is so integral to the artistic process. So I'm a little lay back tits out on this talking thing. I mean, if we're going to do it, let's do this. There we go.
Yeah. That's a great phrase, and we're going to be using that every minute for the next little while. That's great.
It's like that from Renaissance paintings, just lay back tits out.
Just yeah, exactly. There we go. So Scott, how about yourself? You usually have some things happening.
Things happening. I'm just still kind of thinking about anyways, yeah, there's a lot going on here. I've spent literally hundreds of hours during lockdown to study how to translate the mechanics and the content of the Mystic Midway into a format that could reach a lot of people as a tabletop game. It's like where people could connect in meaningful, deep ways and listen to one another and go on short adventures and share resources and what's working for them and what are they struggling with, and giving them the tools and the means to create an emotional safe space of listening with one another. The project's called Goldfire Rising. I have barely talked about this with anybody because I'm just kind of like letting the energy and just really getting it ready.
Yeah.
But it's called Goldfire Rising, and it's a series of products that look like little tabletop games called story maps. And then each story map has a set of cards, and the cards have inquiries and activities. And a group of people, just like you do with role playing, a small group of folks can get together, connect remotely in very meaningful ways, and have these kind of short adventures. There's a few different. One of the story maps is actually going to be a version of Stories of Gold, also known as Aternium Road. So there'll be some interesting, cool crossover there. The other one is set on a walk with Gate Park in an alternate late 60s, early 70s Summer of Love reality, the hero's journey thing. And then there's another one called Goldfire Commons, which is about a space for people to come together and share resources and inspire one another, and to be reminded of the power and the value of community, and that community is really based in resiliency and the practices of resiliency. We're losing the commons. We're losing the ability to gather as social creatures right now. So I'm taking everything I've learned over the decades to put it into these tools and these games that will also be available via Creative Commons and open source. I want to find grants to pay these forward, and work with organizations like Shareable, to like help folks connect in really meaningful ways right now. Because I'm really concerned as a social designer about people connecting and having their needs met emotionally and psychically, and feeling that like loving kindness and the connection of altruism and stuff. So everything I've learned from the Midway, I'm pouring into that project right now. So this is the first time I've shared what I've been working on. So thanks for asking that.
Yeah, well, we look forward to seeing more. I mean, I definitely want to, like, maybe we can play it on this, on the stream sometime all together, because I know there's,
absolutely.
It's kind of a home game for, folks who maybe aren't like down, all role playing like all the time or at all even. It's really to just dip a toe into how this kind of like really magic connection between people as you make up a story together happens. Yeah, it's something I'm pretty excited for. Cool. So you may be asking yourself, where can I get a deck like this? Well, the answer is the Etsy store. He's got, that's the big one. We have a Mystic Midway Etsy store. Again, all the funds that come in there are going to help support this stream and the different projects the nonprofit are going. So Midway Tabletop is definitely one of them. If you want to go to Etsy/Mystic Midway, that is where it's at. Right now we have a lot of really interesting art from the past in t-shirts that are all over prints, and they're cool. There's also a few of these little guys left. Let's see how this happened. Can I get up into the... No. It's the Mr. Nobody sparkly pin. And if you want to get those, there's maybe 3 or 4 of those left.
And they're awesome.
They are cool.
There's some left.
Yeah, they're here somewhere. I would ship them out. But anyway, we're also going to be adding lots of fun stuff. So, of course, if you want to request things, we can maybe see about making them. So feel free to do that in the chat, or come at us at the Discord. So come on into our Discord. The link to join that is at the social media, or if you want to go to the Mystic Midway on Twitter or Mystic Midway on Instagram, links are there. That's really where you can even start talking to the cast if you want, and just hang out with us, and we're sharing inspiration. We're talking about all kinds of geeky stuff. We'll have the Reroll Deep folks in there as well, and that's going to be like a fun center of the community, I think. That'll be enhanced by us coming out, playing games, showing games, doing cool little conversations like this. That's old school. There's so many different decks. Gosh. Anyways, that's kind of like the ad roll for me. Definitely come on down to the Etsy and help support us, and we'll start to put some Aternium Road t-shirts and stuff like that. Your fun typical stuff to support the stream, and anybody who wants to buy any of that is a golden god, in my opinion.
Story currency available too in the Etsy, Marty. This limited edition.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. So we are actually do have from performances a lot of the physical story currency that was used, and I would say a lot actually.
Illustrated by.
Oh my gosh. Sorry, Scott. Go ahead.
Lee Harvey Roswell.
Roswell. One of the most accomplished painters that I have ever met living. Like, he is an incredible artist. The detail in these story currency is truly a wonder to behold. So yeah, definitely we got a lot of different things. We'll organize that on the website, of course. That's the central place. If you do want to just get information, go to mysticmidway.com. We'll have a section standing up shortly for Aternium Road. Coolio. So we
Oh,
have.
those are really beautiful.
Oh yeah, it's amazing, like the detail, the detail. Great. So I guess so we had a question about magic hats. That's the one question that I did see. I think Scott, you may want to take this one.
What is it? Magic what?
He wants the chat folks want to hear more about magic hats.
Magic hats.
Yes.
Well, I don't know if any of you know me. I'm obsessed with hats and the art of hat making, and also the magical powers of hats. I very much believe in magical accessories to help us access our archetypal superpowers. Midway has a lot of number of different hat styles. You'll see in this photo behind Marty, the Guild of Jesters. They have these weird fezzes with these mystic eyes. The goblins have super tall top hats, which are a nod to the red cap fairies, which were sort of like the nefarious.
Yes, I still have mine.
Right, fairy folk. Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, and I've made a lot of custom hats for our events. In terms of, I mean, I don't know if that's answering the question, but yeah, I love the power of the magic hat.
Yeah,
The Grimaldis have the kind of the weird skull cap wigs, and that's a honor to Jory Grimaldi, the King of Clowns. I very much believe in kind of celebrating and honoring the lineage of fashion and design in the Midway.
Yeah.
To like invite those in. So hats have been a big part of that.
Yeah. This is a handmade piece that who made this? This was done.
We did this. That was for 2016,
yeah.
I think.
Yeah.
That's printed by John and Tavia. That's Wall 360.
Wall 360. So this is an applique, like a piece that this is like a wall graphic. Like it's something you just put on a wall and come out. And then the physical hat itself is just like literally handmade, rolled felt and with a little bit of
buckram.
Yeah. So anyway, it's just you want hats? We're gonna talk hats. You got some hats? We got hats for you. Hats.
Sorting hat in Harry Potter. That's an amazing hat.
Yeah. I love the idea of our goblin being a haberdasher of some kind. That he's sort of a fashion plate sort of inventor who focuses on the, style as compared to my sort of proletariat, sort of functional, trashy look.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. My character Rognobble will have a very tall top hat that has all sorts of this. He keeps his trinkets as an artificer. He keeps his various trinkets in the hat because it just kind of makes sense.
Nice.
But we can make you a hat, Durgan. Let's make it. If you want to, if you have an idea for it, we can make.
Yeah.
So you'll see like a lot of the costuming game get upped as we go to. Like we just can't help ourselves. We'll definitely be helping folks out, just kind of get dressed up, and folks just want to do it. You saw, I guess Glitterfish had the fish outfit.
That was great.
Where did that even?
The fish Yoni head.
Yeah, so great. So just making it so that we're having. I mean, you see a lot of streams. Kind of just have a lot of folks like sitting around kind of like this, and that's the limit of it. You'll definitely see more of the cosplay with us, I think, in the future. So let's see. Any other questions from our chat folks? I think that we're, just winding down. I want to make sure that everybody's doing okay and, kind of this crazy situation. One of the points of this whole stream is to bring a little bit of entertainment and a true spirit of community to everybody to sort of participate in watching us make up a whole world together, and that we want people to participate in that, and so please, in the chat, come into Discord, ask questions, suggest things. We're interested in sort of having a two-way dialogue with everybody who's watching, and who knows, you may make up stuff that's so cool you get to come in and play on a stream. We have we're going to be planning a lot more. So always looking for.
I'd love to hear from our dungeon master as to some of his favorite parts of our first broadcast.
Sure.
Oh yeah. Well, like any game that's new with a bunch of characters, like I said, I almost was like, I think we're gonna spend several hours just on the road in front of this tent.
Yeah, there was like a pond.
Like
that showed up.
any game master, dungeon master, storyteller out there will know. and as I've learned over the years, you plan only as much. You could go like, yeah, there's a mountain there. Don't go too deep into the writing of it, because sometimes the party's going to walk to the lake instead of that mountain that you spent 3 hours creating. You go right ahead and you just throw an outline out there. And this one, I was like, we're going to just hang out on the road. That's awesome. I'm having fine interactions, just hanging out on the road in the middle of everything. I was like, wonderful. That's cool.
Love the
But no,
moment.
I love that that everybody interacted with everything as much. And that's, and it wasn't I need to come to this thing and just be disruptive. It was more like, let me go and experience some stuff, and you all kind of jumped into it. And then I loved that we featured food, and I think Marty had said that people in chat were interested about naming the free Dara meal a week. So if we could get lots of suggestions on that, that'll start to get incorporated into free meal, the free meal of the week in the Moldy Bookshop.
Yeah,
or I mean, in the Moldy
menu.
Book public house.
And we'll have our cooking show, our spin-off cooking show.
where I will try to make hoo hoo hen and but yeah, I had a great time, and I think those are just my highlights, is the fact that you all jumped in and interacted with everything, and just wanted to experience it. And I think that's what I wanted to do more. And how I wanted to run this is that because you're coming up with stories to fill your book, it's a sandbox setting. And for those of you who've never jumped into the RPG term of sandbox means there's no but there's a meta plot in my brain up here. There's a story that got laid out in front of you. There's doppelgangers out there trying to take to come back to Earth's reality and leave you here to fade away. But it's sandbox. The world is open for you all to explore. I got ideas, and they're very loose, but they're all out there. So it's not like you have to go from A to B to C. Now you're in this big sandbox, and wherever you want to go and play, I'm there for you. I've thought of lots of themes that'll feature the themes that we had talked about that are important to all of you, like magical discovery of self, and freeing people. So I have encounters and events for that, but they're all out there, and you can explore as far afield, or even just stick around the Moldy Book public house. As long as we could make a cheers thing out of this, that's perfectly fine with me too. We can totally just have a one set thing. But but that's, I guess that was my highlight. I know that there's lots of highlights from the people, because we talked about it a little after we wrapped up on Tuesday. But for mine was just the openness of everybody being interested in just interacting in this world that exists, and that we're also creating at the same time. So
so we have a question or just a comment from chat. Like, I truly enjoyed the Rat Fink book from Salcy Dodd, and how desperately everyone wanted the alcoholic frog to be a major NPC. Ha!
They just want me to do his weird voice all the time. Hey, boss! Hey, boss! You gonna have some more warm gin? I mean, I know I'm gonna.
Is warm gin a thing? Like, I'd never.
Huh? No, it's not.
It's a bad. It's a bad.
I mean, yeah, you
gin,
can. You
so I
can.
don't drink a lot.
I've had warm cocktail. Oh no, I've actually had warm gin in one of our weird Tom Kogai soup cocktail things that we created.
Ooh, that sounds yummy.
Ooh.
It actually came out very,
Interesting.
very good. It does sound weird, but it came out very good because one of my fellow bartenders is a mad scientist. So yes, there'll be more Froggy, and maybe we'll find out Froggy's real name back on Earth.
Well, the way that you twisted that into spoiler, the Froggy is the kiddo.
Well,
like
not
the
so much a spoiler,
child.
you know. At the end, when
I'm
Glitterfish
so-
discovers her book and the leaf pages open up to reveal her life back on Earth as well as her life here now, and she's on this road with the son that she never that she kind of has always had in the background and is now with her frog in the throat.
Oh, so good, dude! Like just this dumbass pun, like just kills it. Like it's so because you get that like humor, but then it's also like moving, and it's a major like plot thing that's gonna happen for that character. It's sad and funny. It's so good, dude.
And could be great. Could be, you know, a connecting, you know, just a hanging out, boss.
But that stuff gets me the most, you know, when it's like the Bone comic, like there's all these like sort of innocent things that happen in these characters, but then there are these like terrible events that make them heroes, you know. It's just so exciting to like see that in the first episode, and it's all just coming out with improv. And you know, with the talent, your talent, and with the talent of everybody else who's
with
like
everybody
picking up on that, and like, you know, I just hope that we do that more and more, because that just means the story we tell is just going to be epically amazing. Yeah. All right. Well, with that, I think that we can wrap up. So, here's where we go. Like and follow. Woo to you. If you can go ahead and subscribe on YouTube, follow us here. We can't subscribe yet on Twitch because we are working on getting all the way up to their affiliate status and partner status stuff. But the best thing you can do, tell your friends, have folks come in, watch a stream. We go live again with the Aternium Road storyline in D&D 5e on Tuesday night at 8 p.m. This next Tuesday coming up. And then we'll do this convo again the Friday after. And that's really what we got for Midway Tabletop. Aternium Road Secrets Revealed. Thank you everyone for coming. It's great to see you. Ask us your questions any way you want to get to us on social media, or come into the Discord, and we're happy to take on topics of most any kind. All right. Black Lives Matter. Thanks everybody.
Thanks.
Thanks, Marcus. Thanks, Marty.
Thank you.
Bye. Bye.
Bye.